Well, welcome back. My name is Mark Belash. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. As I just see some people coming onto this platform. Hope you've enjoyed some of the sessions that we've had today. Some great speakers. I was able to get into some of the networking area as well. Really great topics and really appropriate for everything that's here for this Canadian Virtual Staffing Firm Owners Conference presented by TorontoJobs.ca and powered by EventLogic.ca. So I have a great panel. Great experts in the industry, and we're going to talk a little bit about what is going on with each person. So first up on my screen anyways, Michael Lemmer. And Michael is founder and president of ML6 Search and Talent Advisory in Burlington, Ontario. Michael, welcome. Thanks for being on here. Why don't you talk a little bit about your organization, your company, what you do, how long you've been in recruiting for, and give a quick intro.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Mark. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah. I've been running ML6 Search and Talent Advisory now for just going on 4 years. Actually hit our 4-year anniversary on the 1st of February, so feeling quite good about that. What we do every year is we partner up with a wide variety of different industries and support them with their corporate back office recruitment. The common thread with the clients that we work with is that they are primarily private equity backed organizations, so a lot of high growth companies looking for really key leadership to kind of take them through that next stage of growth.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for being on, Michael. And next up on my screen is Suki Sodhi, who's president of Professional Selection. And Suki, we've known each other for a while, and you've got a good handle on what's going on in the industry. So why don't you talk about what you do, your company, and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Firstly, thanks for having me on. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Suki Sodhi, founder of Professional Selection. We're a global rec-to-rec company and a training company. So as a business, we focus solely on staffing industries around the world, both in terms of hiring their talents and hiring and coaching high-performance sales teams. So as of today, we've recruited in 18 countries. And Chris and the team's hopefully about to make that 19 by the summer. But we stay in our lane. We solely focus on our industry and our industry alone. And that's us in a nutshell.
Excellent. So we're going to come back and talk about the differences between Canada and the other 17 countries that you're talking about, right? Thanks again for being on. Maysa Haywash is founder and CEO of ScaleX. So Maysa, how about yourself? Thanks for being on, of course, but maybe you can introduce a little bit about what you do and how you're impacted by the industry or you're involved with the industry.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for everybody who's joining us today. So as Mark mentioned, my name is Maysa, and I'm the founder and CEO of ScaleX. ScaleX is a 2-year-old company that specializes in helping high growth companies focus on growth by providing fractional human resources and recruitment services. And where we tend to be really, really effective is in the niche recruitment and senior recruitment roles, as well as strategic HR services. And we work in Canada, the US, and some of our clients have global reach as well.
Terrific. Well, thanks again for being here. And Tali Nizik, we've known each other as well for many, many years, president and CEO of Controllers on Call. Thanks again, Tali, for being on. So Tali, talk a little bit about Controllers on Call, what you do, and what's been going on in your world.
Thank you very much, Mark, for inviting me to be a part of the panel, and nice to meet the rest of my colleagues. So Controllers on Call was established in the year 2000, and our focus is very focused on accounting and finance and human resources professionals. And it's either on contract or full-time positions. We work with company Canada-wide. We concentrate on these particular industries: the food, the transportation, the technology, and insurance. That is basically Controllers on Call.
Okay, terrific. And you've been in the business for how long?
25 years.
25 years, yeah. I think we got in around the same time, didn't we? Back in 95, 96 time period. So excellent. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on. So Michael, why don't you talk about, COVID's obviously the story, and we're not going to spend too much time on it, but just, maybe talk a little bit about what changes you've done to incorporate COVID, people working from home, employees, and so on.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. We've been quite fortunate that we haven't had too much of an impact on our internal team over here. For the most part, we've had a lot of flexibility in working from home arrangements. While we do have a physical office and people are, typically in the office more often than not, that is by choice. So we're in a situation now where making that transition to having everyone at home wasn't too much of an adjustment for us. It's kind of gone seamlessly, which is great. I will say the biggest impact we've noticed is just sort of timelines that our clients are working with and timelines getting comfortable with making a decision. So we're certainly seeing a lot of interview processes are dragging out quite a bit longer than they traditionally would, or there's several additional steps along the way, other parties involved. It's difficult making a key hiring decision when you're not actually sitting face to face or shaking someone's hand and meeting in person. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing we've seen. And what we found is it really just comes down to holding the client's hand through it a lot more and getting them to a point where they feel more comfortable and doing what we can to facilitate those meetings virtually.
Excellent. And Suki, you talked about 18 countries, so I'm coming back to this. What do you see that Canadian companies are doing better or worse than other countries? What do you see that maybe Canadian companies could be doing
that's a lovely
other countries?
Isn't it? I think what I would say one of the biggest differences is when I'm working internationally, so be it the UK, be it South Africa, be it the US, or South America for that matter, we as an industry here, we take a lot longer to make decisions. And what we do is we take a lot longer to make those decisions. And then we also don't, and a lot of companies here don't play on the global platform. And when I talk global, I'm not talking go do 18 countries like us. I'm literally just talking cross border, just the US. And one of the things I find international companies is they love coming into the Canadian market. I am always launching international companies into the Canadian market. I literally got off the phone before this particular call with a VC company who are looking to enter the Canadian market. And I'm working on my coaching side with a large staffing firm out of Cape Town. They've already launched here. So Canada is a market that internationally people are looking at. And one of the things I see as an industry, what I'd love as an industry for us to do is get more aggressive, go international, and without taking eye off our core market. But the truth of the matter is, if I look at the Canadian market, international companies are launching, especially in the tech space, life sciences space, accounting and finance, things like that. So there's a lot of investment coming in here, which means they're taking market share, which I say as an industry, we need to be grabbing. So I'd love to see some of our Canadian companies just get a little bit more aggressive. But one of the things that I think we do really well, is our internal employee relationships and management. I think it's working around the world, there is a lot of pass or fail, if that makes sense, and so much focused on the KPIs. But as an industry, I think what we do really well is how we look after our internal employees. Not everybody, but for the most part. So that's some of the big differences. I mean, I could go on for hours about it. But that's some of the big differences.
Excellent. And why do you think that is, that Canadians might be a bit slower to make decisions than in other countries? I mean, what's your gut, or do you have a feeling on what?
I've got a couple of thoughts around it. First of all, and I said, when I first moved to Canada in 2005, I was saying, hey guys, international is coming. The internet's made the world a really small place. So you have companies that have these global MSPs and they need to be in Canada, right? That's a given. But if I just pick on mining, for example, if I just take mining, pretty much every mining agency has some sort of operation here now. Not because the mining is literally done here, because of Toronto and head offices and things like that. So I think there's also, and I hear this all the time, there's this fear of working in the US. or working in the UK for that matter. Just the perceived aggression of those two markets. So one of the things I work with on my coaching practice is it doesn't have to be scary. You can still be you, your authentic self, and capture that market. So I think there's a couple of different reasons. And not only that, if I look at 2008, the financial crisis then, Canada, we got scratched in comparison to some other countries, right? So there is, and I know I'm probably going to upset a lot of people, but if you know me, I'm going to call a spade a spade. There's this compliancy as well, right? Thinking, well, you know, we've got this bit, why rock the boat? But the reality is, especially if you're in that tech space, these big VMSs are coming in, MSPs are coming in, and they're coming out of the US. So we're losing market share in that respect. So I think there's a couple of different reasons.
Excellent. Well, great insight, right? Because, you know, myself, like a lot of Canadians, we just stick within our areas, right? We don't get involved with other areas. So it's good to hear your insight. So Tali, technology. Why don't we talk a little bit about technology? Obviously, Zoom has been a way for people to have meetings and interviews. Is there any special technology that you use that you've found has been working? Anything you're comfortable sharing?
So really what we do use all the time, Mark, is Zoom. We find that Zoom does everything that we're looking for. And recently we're also discovering Google Meet or Meet Google. It's a little bit different than Zoom as far as for you to enter into the actual meeting. Other than that, really, Zoom does everything you're looking for, from calling to arranging meetings to really, we use it all the time. And now we will go to Google to see really what the difference is and which one is more efficient when it comes to meeting people, speaking to people, and so on. So yeah, Zoom is what we use.
Terrific. So I think we've lost one of our panelists, but hopefully we can get her back soon. If you're just joining, my name is Mark Balaish. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I'm joined by Michael Lemmer, founder and president of ML6 Search and Talent Advisory. Suki Sodhi is president of Professional Selection, and Tali Nizic is president and CEO of Controllers on Call. And not sure if we can get Mesa back. Hopefully we can get her back soon. So maybe an open question to all of you is, you know, what's your feel on what's happening in the industry? You know, at the beginning I talked about the jobs in Canada and specifically Canada, but you know, we went from the lowest unemployment rate back in February of 2020 in the Canada's history to the highest unemployment rate at just over 13% in May. And then, you know, we kind of settled down, but now January's numbers were not great job numbers wise. And a lot of had to do with the lockdowns, but what are you feeling? What are you sensing? What are you seeing? What are you thinking? Are things improving, getting worse, staying the same? Open question to anybody.
Well, I mean, I don't mind commenting from my seat as a search firm owner. Yeah, you know, for me, I found that there was a lot of, I guess, nervousness or hesitation in the market early on when we first went into the lockdown. Yeah, so I guess going back to March of last year, and I think it took some businesses a while to realize this isn't going to go away anytime soon. So we've got to make some adjustments and keep moving forward, keep pushing the business ahead. So, you know, overall, we saw a big impact back then. So March, April, May, things really were unsettled, uncertain. There was also a lot of restructuring that happened within companies, right, where the internal talent acquisition function was impacted quite heavily. You know, it's one of the first areas that tends to go when there's no hiring, no growth happening in the business. So we found that we've been busier than ever, and you know, a lot of that is due to those circumstances. But overall, I think it's very much it's a good active market for us in our seat right now. There's a lot going on, but the demand for very specific talent is really hotter than it's ever been. Right now, there's just such a demand, and we've never been in a situation that we are today where we're seeing so many offers for the top talent at any given time. Like, it's typical to have 3-4 offers on the plate for anyone really strong and really talented who is actually willing to make a move right now. So it's a very active market at this point.
Yeah. Mesa, I know we lost you, and I'm glad you're back.
Thank you. I don't know what happened there.
So Mesa Hawash, founder and CEO of ScaleX. Do you want to say, because you missed a round there on questioning, but kind of an open question, but kind of what's happening? What are you feeling?
Yeah, so with COVID, my business, it's a very young business, but, within the small time that I operated, I had to pivot, obviously, because of COVID. And it just came from market demands. Instead of focusing on recruitment only, I found that companies are looking for more support on, what happens after recruitment, the onboarding support and, HR support. And because my client base is typically smaller in size, they have very little infrastructure, but they continue to grow. And I think Michael mentioned that the demand for very specialized talent is a lot more prevalent now than ever. So we've seen a very high demand for specialized talent and for outsourcing, period. Companies are not willing to invest in infrastructure internally, but they're open to a fractional model, and that's seemed to be working for ScaleX. At least we tend to work well in that space.
Perfect. We do have some questions. And by the way, if anybody wants to ask a question, just throw them in the event or the stage area, and I'll moderate them as well. And also, while you're at it, you can take our polls. We have a number of polls that are happening. They're one click. You can take them while you're watching here. So Vicky has a question. Is there going to be a pivot in 2021 or consolidations? Maybe Suki, you can take that one on, because you're seeing more of a global, and you talked about other countries coming in. So what's your take on?
There's I echo what both Michael and Mesa are saying. It is burning hot right now. And I recruit for you guys. So you're busy, your competitors are all busy. So there's absolutely, it's a brilliant time right now. Now, having said that, certain verticals, hospitality being one of them, not so much. And I wanted to pick up on something you said earlier about unemployment. Yep, the unemployment numbers aren't that great. No denying that. But it's still, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of misleading. And it kind of goes on to what Michael was saying. The demand is so high in certain areas. And I'd love to see some statistics somewhere that talks about the scarcity there of the skill set, which come back to the question. There are, in my opinion, in fact, can I just back up a second? COVID, I saw companies really panic, and I'm going to just stick with the Canadian market here. There was just so much panic, so much fear. And it was a fear of scarcity, fear of loss, and that type of thing. They just let their teams go, even before we knew what was happening and stuff like that. And there are some companies that even pretty much stopped their sales process, making the argument when no one's hiring. And then you had those companies that were really still, despite what was happening in the market, they had their strategy and they pivoted. So of course, those people have come back a lot faster. And then we talk about consolidating. Well, right now, and if I just talk about VC companies and private equity, one of the strategies they've got, and there's one out of Chicago, they're entering the Canadian market and they're just going and buying those companies that then got into financial distress. Right, and they're consolidating them. So yes, so to answer Vicky's question, there's kind of a yes to both of them, because you're seeing that, and then you add on new companies coming in. So talking, what Mesa was saying about outsourcing, not putting the infrastructure here. One of the biggest shifts I'm seeing in the Canadian market happening more so through since COVID is offshoring. Offshoring their sourcing, offshoring their recruiting. In the past, everybody has offshored that to Philippines or India because they've dominated the market. Well, now they're offshoring to South Africa.
Okay.
Right? Still a financial, but what they're doing is, if they're not large enough to build their own offshore team, they're offshoring to South Africa. And I have helped companies from South Africa capture that market here in North America. So there is that people are consolidating in operational efficiencies, cost, so pretty much echoing what Mesa was saying. But honestly, you guys should all be extremely, extremely busy right now with orders. And if I can add to that, walk away from low margin business. There's so much business out there. You do not need low margin business.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree.
Sorry?
Mesa?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I'm busier than ever.
Absolutely.
And it's just a matter of being selective on what is the value generator for my business and what's the good fit between what we do and what clients do, for sure, 100%.
It starts internally. If you've got that scarcity mindset, that fear I was talking about earlier, you're going to hold on for dear life. And we treat our clients how to treat us. So that's one of the biggest things that I've really been pushing. And those of you that belong in the free Facebook group I run, I'm always talking about that. Walk away from low margin business, but you've got to have a replacement strategy.
Mm-hmm. And Tali, what do you find? Thanks very much for Suki. That's great insights. Tali, what are you finding on the candidate side? There's orders. There's it's a weird kind of thing because Main Street, main economy thinks that a lot of jobs are being lost, which there have. There's been battered industries, retail, hospitality, travel, tourism. But what about on the candidate side, Tali? Or what are you seeing there? What's changed from a year ago? What's the mindset of a candidate that you're seeing?
So the candidates that we work with are finance people, accounting people, and human resources. So both of these professions are not really disappearing anywhere. And so when clients are looking for candidates, many times, unless they really make up their mind very quickly, the candidates are going to disappear. So we find that candidates are still looking for new opportunities. They're not looking as much to stay in the opportunity that they're in right now or the position they're in right now. Nevertheless, they're still asking for higher salaries that they're in right now. And many times they need to give in their notice, obviously, the 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Nevertheless, before they give this particular notice away, they'd like to know benefits. Do I get it right away after 2 weeks? I would like them after 1 week. So they're a lot more negotiation savvy than they were previously and more demanding than they were previously. So I think it's because of the people that we work with. I think they know that jobs for finance people are always going to be there and for human resources. So they're not as picky, they're not as scared of the current COVID situation. And also the industries that we work with, right? So it's not the hospitality, it's insurance, transportation, the food industry. So the food industry is blooming, and technology. So all of these industries are not going away anytime soon. And I can tell you they have been hiring almost from the beginning of COVID. So they didn't really go away anywhere. And they're looking for individuals all the time, controllers, assistant controllers. It's very rare that you see a payables or a receivables. They're all middle to high level positions. All
right, excellent. Yeah, good insight as well. Mesa, how about you? Like plans for 2021 on your end? How were you changing from last year to this year? Any pivots?
Pivots, I'm not sure if pivots, but, with my company, well, I'm right now, I'm the only one on my own payroll, and I operate through a network of consultants. So I think the big question for me, and they're independent consultant, is do I hire full-time? Do I continue to actually use the gig economy model, which seems to be working really well, but because the clients rely on consistent quality, I need to make those decisions. So for me, it's really about growth and managing this growth in a sustainable and effective way. And so I have some big decisions to make, how do I want to scale my company and how do I grow it? But overall, it's great news, and it's really good problems to have from my perspective, because I get to work with clients that are experiencing growth as well. So it worked out really well for ScaleX.
Perfect. Where are you located, Mesa?
I'm located in Toronto, but my clients are Canadian. But some of them have operations in the US, some of them have global operations, and we're looking into And some of them actually are looking into even creating offshore offices. So we're looking at all these different models to help them grow and scale.
Terrific. Well, that's great. Very interesting. Michael, how about, kind of your thoughts on if you were to start a new staffing firm from scratch, what would you do differently? What would you change? What would you do post-COVID or current COVID, I guess? What would you do? How would you build your business?
I don't think I'd necessarily do anything differently at this stage. I might accelerate certain areas, talking about growth that Marcel was talking about there. For us, we've grown the business as also grown it organically where we could, and we're sitting at 15 people today. And for us, the growth is going to continue. We want to continue our expansion. One thing I probably would do earlier on in the journey, building a business, would be similar to Suki's point of walking away from low margin business. I'll just expand that a little bit further. I would walk away from what I classify as bad business a lot earlier. And when I'm referring to bad business, for me, that's anything from a client not valuing the support that we provide as a service provider or a solution provider. There's really no need for us to be working with those organizations. There's enough businesses out there that truly value the work we do and understand the impact we can make, and really what partnering with a strategic search partner is actually going to deliver for them. So that's probably the one big thing I would do. I would be much more confident earlier on in walking away from that bad business and rather focusing the energy on bringing in, stronger, great business early on and just keep pushing there. There's so much time wasted with clients who really don't see the value in the service you provide. You should not waste any time with them. Move on and deal with those that actually see the value and understand the value and understand how to work with you as a service provider.
Yeah, good advice. Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left. Kind of 30 seconds for each person. Just anything that you want to add to anything that anybody said. Something burning that's been. I gotta say this or whatever. So to kind of just 30 seconds, if you don't mind. Mesa, why don't we start with you?
So insights that I can share in my 2 years experience building my business is really around being very clear on what is the value that I bring, and then walking away. So similar themes to what everybody else is saying. In my early days, I've accepted business that wasn't good for me, and it wasted a lot of my time and energy. We ended up parting ways. As I was thinking of hiring my client fired me. So basically, we were thinking the same thought. And I'm like, this is not working out. So if your gut feeling tells you this is a bad business, walk away. There's a lot of other business, and focus the energy on what really drives value, those relationships that are going to help me grow and help my clients grow.
All right, excellent. Tali, 30 seconds.
Yeah, so what I would say goes along the rest of the comments that we heard. I'm now moving more and more into a business that will be just one-on-one. So no competing with other agencies. In case you want to work with us exclusively, that's fantastic. In case you want to pay our fee, that's fantastic. In case you don't, there'll be lots of other agencies I can recommend you to. So I think this is where we are right now, and this is where we're going to keep on going. And yes, there's a lot of business out there.
Yeah, for sure. Being a little bit more selective in a weird kind of way, being selective in a what should seem on the outside to be a slow economy, right? But really, I think we're all sensing the same thing, that there are orders out there, there's business out there. Suki, 30 seconds to you.
I mean, I just want to go, what would have I done differently? Very similar to what Mike said. I would have got my coaching a lot sooner into my business to really help handle the mindset blocks that I didn't even know, my blind spots. But as for what 2021 and beyond is, I'm taking that. I want to make the coaching business, it's gone into 6 countries. I want to make that 18 countries as well. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and selecting who I work with, because to echoing what everybody else is saying, not everybody is the right partner for you, and that's okay. It's okay. We're not for everybody. Right. Work with those people that I am aligned with. So that's I think it's going to be a brilliant year.
Excellent. Michael, 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, I just, wrap it up. I think it's an exciting time ahead. And if we focus on our core competencies, keep pushing forward, there's no reason we can't all grow really successful businesses. Yeah, and it's really comforting to hear how everyone is really sticking to their values and holding the industry accountable to a higher standard as well. So it's exciting times ahead.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much to all of you. My name is Mark Balaish. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I want to thank everybody for attending today's event, the Canadian Virtual Staffing Firm Owners Conference. Let us know how you liked it. If you didn't like it, if you wanted us to change something, we're going to be continuing to tweak these events as we go along. I want to thank again all of you on the panel: Tali Nizick, President and CEO of Controllers on Call; Mesa Hawish, Founder and CEO of ScaleX; Michael Lemmer, Founder and President of ML6 Search and Talent Advisory; and Suki Sodi, President of Professional Selection. I want to also thank the team today behind the scenes, Alex, Rachel, and Jesse, Sandra. There's a lot of people involved in putting this thing together. Make sure to check out our Toronto Recruiters YouTube channel as well, where there's a lot of videos, content that might help you out. And you can also follow TorontoJobs.ca on all our social media. We're on Facebook, and you can join our Toronto Recruiters Conference group, as well as Twitter, LinkedIn. We have a Recruiters Unite in Toronto group that you might want to join, and of course, Instagram as well. And some of the upcoming events that TorontoJobs.ca is presenting: the Canadian Virtual Career Fair on February 17th. That's next week. If you are looking to try to reach job seekers, that might be a good avenue for you to be. At the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Panel, February 22nd, and the Canadian Virtual Recruiters Conference on March 9th. So check out TorontoJobs.ca/news, NEWS, for more information. Or you can also check out Event Logic with a K.ca. And if you have an event that you'd like us to put together, we can certainly do that for you. And TorontoJobs.ca, we're working on a crazy project that's going to blow your mind. So we're going to be releasing that in 2021. So we still have a few minutes left. There's about 10 minutes that is tacked on that you can still go into the networking area and still go into the sessions area. Don't miss your chance. And if you're interested in chatting about ways that I can help you, whether you want to talk about splits, partnerships, about the event, or about the industry, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And look forward to speaking and staying connected with the four of you, and for everybody who's watching as well. Don't be shy and stay safe. And let's hope 2021 will be the decline of this pandemic that we're in. So thanks again. And thanks to all of you for being on here.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.